I would get water on my tie.
You look good, man.
You look.
Always.
All right. Ready to get this show on the road? Never gets old. Getting blinded. So I'm going to ask them, what do we want to get out of this session? So if you would just write that up there while I'm asking that when I start this off, all right?
Like literally, what are we going to get out of this session?
Yeah.
Or what their answers are?
What their answers are.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that's what the takeaway is.
Yep. What do we want the takeaways to be? Make sense?
Yeah. I can write it.
Yeah, you got it. All right.
When I went into IU, the guy told me.
What we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. How you guys doing? Good.
How's it going, Scott?
It's good.
Yeah, they want money. $95.
95? We have 126 seats.
6?
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's hot.
Literally, probably 10 miles.
All right. You ready to get the show on the road?
Yeah. We're basically at the century mark.
Yeah.
98.
All right. Get blinded once more. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Good. Tired? Did I hear tired? How many of you went to the last session? How was it? Good? Good. Awesome. You having a good time in Memphis so far? All right. Well, good. Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Scott Barron. I'm an 07 initiate from Psi Chapter at the University of North Georgia. I'm currently the Director of Services for the eastern side of the United States, and this is my third year on staff. So we're really happy to have you here today. Before we begin, as you notice here, we have a flip chart, and I want to ask you guys, what do you want to get out of these next two sessions, today and tomorrow? What's your goal for going in here, and what are you wanting to learn? Now everybody raise their hand all at once, please. Yes?
Well, I came just hoping to bounce ideas off of each other and just taking other chapters' ideas and bringing it to my chapter.
Okay, so learning best practices from other chapters and see how you can implement that into yours? All right, good. You in the back.
Communicating strategic goals with people that don't necessarily understand strategic planning.
Okay. So you said communicating strategic goals?
Back to the chapter.
Okay, back to the chapter. All right.
Along with that, communicating with an apathetic chapter.
Okay, communicating with an apathetic chapter. I'm sure we all could struggle with that at times.
Learn how to devise a plan for the future, not just for the upcoming year alone.
Okay. So developing a strategic plan for the future? Okay.
Something that can be replicated no matter what the makeup of the chapter is.
Something that can be replicated no matter what the makeup of the chapter is? Okay, so maintain continuity.
Learning how to motivate everyone and get them in the same mindset, yeah.
Motivating everyone and getting them the same mindset? Great. All right, we'll take a couple more.
Creating a tangible plan of action to apply to applying goals.
Okay. So did you say creating a tangible plan of action? Okay. I got one more over here.
Learning to become more efficient.
Learn to become more efficient. I'm sure we as all fraternity men can be more efficient in everything we do. All right, well, we're excited to have you guys here today. I want you to know that this group right here is the luckiest group at this academy because you know why? You have, if I need to turn this on, you have the four most handsomest men in this hotel presenting to you over the next 2 days. So you should feel very fortunate. We're doing this at no charge, so you're welcome. but we're happy to have you here. Just going to give you an overview of what we're going to be going over the next 2 days. Be giving you an overview of what exactly is strategic planning and what that means for a chapter. Why is it important? And then lastly is how you're going to implement that into your chapter. And each of you have taken the first step in learning this last piece, how to implement that by being here today. So the first step's already accomplished on how to implement that into your chapters. Next is, can someone give me a definition of what is strategic planning? Tough group. Let's see. Jarrett.
Jarrett Walden, Upsilon, University of Arlington. Setting up a structured organization of how you want to set your goals and plan for the future ahead most often.
Okay, gotcha. So setting goals to see what we need to reach in the future, basically. Okay. Anybody else? You're right there.
Rob King, Alpha Upsilon, organizing macrocosmic goals and processes and implementing.
Okay. Organizing macrocosmic goals and process. Like it. That's good. You in the back.
Still in Delta Pi, just kind of basics like setting your calendar, setting your budget, setting like goal planning, setting the overall plan, like these, etc.
It's a great answer. Establishing the framework for your chapter. Well, the book definition of strategic planning is a process of envisioning a desired future, translating this vision into goals and objectives, and inventing a sequence of steps to achieve them. And I'm a big John Wooden fan, so John Wooden, one of the greatest college basketball coaches to ever coach in the game. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So with him, with all his basketball teams, he had a laid out plan of what he wanted to accomplish each and every year. And that's the reason why he's one of the most winningest coaches in basketball, is due to how he structured his team and setting the goals for them. All right. So what you're going to be learning over the next 2 days, you're going to understand the importance of strategic planning and an overview of the GROW model. Has anybody ever heard of a GROW model in your business classes? Anything? How about SWOT? All of you, that's what I figured. Well, that's the reason we're switching, well, we're not switching this, but we're implementing a new idea with the GROW model, because I'm sure each and every one of you, especially if you're a business major, has had SWOT just jammed down your throat for the past 3 to 4 years, and you're ready for something new. So this is going to be an exciting time for you to learn a different concept and as far as when it comes to setting goals and accomplishing them. Next is how to put your goals into action through the use of chapter retreats. How many of you have chapter retreats right now at your chapters? All right. What type of retreats do you have?
We have fun retreats where everyone bonds together.
Okay.
And then we also have retreats where we set goals.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So brotherhood retreats, goal setting retreats, recruitment. Okay. Gotcha. How many do you usually have a year? Randall? 2. 2? Okay. So one at the start of the semester, one at the next. Okay. Great. And then lastly, and most importantly, and we're going to be hitting on this a lot in group 2, all of us working together on this, is how to effectively implement your chapter strategic plan and creating buy-in for your chapter. So I'm sure many of you have been to multiple Pike University events, and you learn all these great concepts of what to do in recruitment, what to do with risk management. But the hardest part is we give you all these tools, but when you take it back, it's really hard to get the rest of the chapter bought in. Is that right? Can everybody agree with me on that? So through the next 2 days, we're going to try to equip you with the tools to take what you learn here and implement that within your chapter. So one thing I want all of you to keep in your mind when you're going through these next 2 days is the questions you should ask yourself right now about your chapter. Why do you exist as an organization? What is your purpose? Next is where you are now. And not necessarily where you think you are, but where do the sorority women on your campus think you are? The faculty members, your Greek life office, your local community. What do they think about Pike on your campus? Next is, where do you want to be? What's your vision for the future? How many executive officers do I have in the room right now? Wow, a lot of you guys. All right, great. It's not just where you want to be at the end of your term. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to see your chapter 3 to 5 years down the road after you've left? And then lastly, is how you're going to get there. I'm going to introduce Pike University board member Jeff Royer. He's going to be teaching you to help you with answering these questions through the use of the GROW model. So, Jeff, would you please come up?
Go ahead and leave that slide up.
All right. Next slide?
No.
Oh, leave it up. There you go.
Thanks. Afternoon. My name is Jeff Royer. I'm a 91 initiate of Alpha Sigma, who is not represented at this conference right now. They didn't want to spend the money. So, can I affiliate with your chapters, please? Sent him a nice little text message last night saying, congratulations, you won a scholarship cup at the annual conference. Too bad none of you were here to pick it up. I got all sorts of likes from the alums. I think I totally pissed off the undergrads, but that's all right. I live 900 miles away from Berkeley now, so I can get away with it. Professionally, I was the head of field development and talent management for UBS Wealth Management America, so I was responsible for the training and development of 7,000 plus financial advisors and about 350 to 400 field leaders. So I've been through a whole cadre of leadership classes that we were offering globally. We're actually the largest wealth management firm in the world, based out of Switzerland, and then tried to translate those into American speak because, you know, Swiss and European and Asia type trainings don't necessarily resonate in the Americas as well. So the other thing that was remarkably similar with that experience, I now manage an office back in Denver because I wanted to get off the road. One of the things that's really striking to me is I've worked with financial advisors now for 16, 17 years. And I learned more about how to lead a group of independent entrepreneurs from having been SMC of a chapter and then a chapter consultant than I have from any of the other training. And one of the things I really want to drive home with you guys is you're going to walk out of your undergraduate experience. Not all your brothers will. But the fact that you're here going through this, the fact that all of you are raising your hands, that you're in leadership roles in your chapter, you will learn more about leading people from this experience, not managing people, leading people, than anything else that you're going to do in college, with the exception of maybe any of you who are going into the military. That's going to be a different set of leadership. So take advantage of it. When I interviewed for my second job post being a consultant, sitting down with this chief operating officer of Wells Fargo, and she says, you know, I don't even know why I'm meeting with you, you're not qualified for this job, and what's all this fraternity shit on your resume? I said, thank you for asking. And then went into my spiel about what it meant to be a chapter president, what it meant to be on the Supreme Council, what it meant to be a chapter consultant, things that I had to deal with. I got the job. And she hated fraternities. So, all right, you guys have all seen me professionally attired, right? I've got my official Memphis jacket on, I'm presenting. All right, it's coming off. This is a working session. Anybody who's uncomfortably hot, stand up, take your jackets off, hang them on the back of your chairs. Seriously, this is a working session. I'm not a keynote. I'm not somebody who's a CEO of a company that's going to impart all sorts of wisdom on you, and I don't drive a Ferrari or an Aston Martin. I drive a Jeep. It's a Colorado thing.
Hey guys, too, could you do me a huge favor? We don't have enough seats and there's some kind of gap. If you're taking up two, can you take your chair and everyone just kind of spread out a little bit? Everyone can sit down. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody settled in? Everybody comfortable? Who can tell me what SWOT is? Give me it.
Strengths, weaknesses.
Wait, hold on. So let me just give some ground rules. Big room, lots of people, you're all executive officers. Stand up, talk to the last person that you can see. It will bounce off the walls, everybody will be able to hear you. This is something that will really help your command leadership presence in your chapter.
Sean Cox from outside University of Cincinnati. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
All right? Anybody tell me how we use it or why we use it? I'll accept either. Internal?
SWOT is used to identify your internal and external weaknesses and strengths in order to kind of plan your future as part of the organization.
Great, thank you. What do you have to have in place before you can even get into a SWOT conversation with the chapter? We just heard about it. Folks who were just in the general session, listen to the keynote. What was he hitting on? Just number one thing, yes?
A mission.
Mission? What else? Yep.
Austin, Gabs-Ada University, a culture of change.
Culture. So Scott's talking about why do we exist? Where are we now? What do we want to be? How do we get there? These two questions, this one in particular, that's going to be basically a ground rule. You need to understand, as you go back to your chapters, why the members believe that the fraternity exists, what they want it to mean to them. And if you don't know, and you think the majority of the chapter doesn't know, then your first retreat's going to have to be a values retreat. And the model we're going to go through, you can actually apply it. So don't worry about that. But you really need to understand the motivations of the people that you're attempting to lead, because that's what you're going to be able to use to tap into them. So let's assume you know why you exist, you know what your values are, you know what your culture is, you know what your mission is. You've done a SWOT analysis. What's the problem? What's the problem with that? Because most organizations do the SWOT analysis and then they stop. What are they missing? Yeah.
It's static, it's sort of a snapshot. Snapshot doesn't really tell you what the next steps are.
Exactly. You have no idea what the next steps are. You guys are going to come to this meeting for 3 days. You're going to hear all sorts of incredible things. You're going to go back to the chapter, and one of two things is either going to happen. You're either going to immediately get caught right back up into your routine, set the notes aside with every single intention of going back to them, and then discover them a year later when you're out of office. Or you're going to go back and tell the chapter all these great things that you learned and how we're going to charge the hill and we're going to win a Smythe, and they're going to look at you like you have a third eyeball right here in the middle of your head. Because you have a lot of passion about it, but they don't. So the biggest problem with SWOT is how do you actually operationalize it? It's the biggest problem that we had in my past 6 years running training for a major wealth management firm. This is the biggest problem we have. We pull people out of their business, bring them to an off-site location. Sound familiar? Fortunately, we don't bring them to Memphis in August. We then train them on things, and we do all sorts of different approaches to it. Talking at them, having them do exercises, talking with them. They then go back to their business, and we're lucky if they implement one or two things. You look out 30 days, maybe something's changed. You look out 60 days, maybe something's changed. So the real question you guys have to ask yourselves, and the reason why you're starting with this session now, we're going to have another one tomorrow, and then this is actually going to continue into your regional breakouts. How am I going to make sure that I don't waste this experience? How am I going to make sure that the money the chapter invested in me going to Memphis isn't just spent going to the Flying Saucer until 2 a.m.? Oops, looking in the mirror. But seriously, how are you going to take this back and affect some type of change? So the goals that you guys have for this session, you want to learn best practices from each other. We're going to cover that in your regional breakouts. We're going to cover it in our second session here. Communicating strategic goals back to the chapter without them looking at you like you've got a third eyeball in the middle of your head. Something that can be brought back and continued. This is a big one. Tangible plan to action. Something that can be brought back and continued. If you have a core nucleus of 3 or 4 brothers with you, and you guys decide you want to win a Newell, you'll get it. You can do it in a year, maybe 2. You might even be able to get up to chapter, the high-end chapter excellence, you might even be able to get a Smythe. The problem is what happens when you graduate. Now it's difficult for you guys, and particularly your brothers that you went through with, to say, what do we want the chapter to look like in 3 to 5 years? Because to most of our brothers, 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be out in the working world. What do I care? The real question is, what is it that the people were rushing and pledging and putting through initiation, what do they want it to become? So you've got different constituencies. You've got the elder guys who have certain things that they want to achieve. You've got the middle tier. It's probably you guys who are coming up and becoming officers and starting to lead the chapter, and then you got the generation coming in behind you. And this is what is so difficult about your job, is you've got 3 distinct groups, I could argue maybe 4, that you're trying to figure out how to motivate. Because you can go back and say, all right, 5 of us are going to go charge the hill, and the rest of the chapter, we'll drag them along kicking and screaming. But you're going to force compliant behavior where they're just doing it because you put a gun to their head, or you threaten them with a fine, or you bribed them with beer, or whatever. The question is, how do you actually get them to really buy in? I mean, we just did a chapter retreat with my own chapter back at Berkeley, and they gave us all the great stuff. Yeah, we want to win a Smythe. Why? I asked them, why? Well, because that's the big award. I said, so what? Who cares? Do you guys really care? Well, they were saying because they thought the alums would love to hear them saying that they want to win a Smythe. I don't care if you want to win a Smythe or not. Take that back. It'd be great if all of you came out of here and said, I want to win a Smythe, and we're going to get our chapters fired up to win a Smythe. But if you can't answer the so what, who cares, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, and you're not going to be able to implement a long-term systemic change. So the GROW model actually came about from tennis, of all things. And it came from a coach who observed that when he was trying to coach players to hit the ball, he'd say, keep your eye on the ball. And they'd look at it, and they'd follow his advice for a couple minutes. And then, of course, they'd slip right back into their bad behavior. And he'd say, keep your eye on the ball. Same thing would happen. He finally figured out, wait a minute, all right, when the ball comes over the net and it bounces, say bounce, and when you hit it, say ball. So he was taking it from, here's the advice that you're not hearing and you're not listening to, akin to you coming back and saying, here's what we're going to accomplish, everybody get on board with it, to, okay, forget the advice I'm giving you, just say bounce, ball. And all of a sudden they're watching the ball. That's basically what GROW Model is going to be doing. It's going to be having the chapter start creating their own ideas. Have the chapter try and figure out what they want the way forward to be. If you have a good value system in place and people understand why the organization exists and you have any type of common thread, whatever goals you come out of here with, they're either going to come up with themselves or they're going to come up with something better. Your job as leaders is to figure out how to get them there and how to help them come up with these ideas and how to impart the wisdom that you've picked up here. All right? So, where did I put the clicker? Here's the clicker. Now that I'm 10 minutes in, I should probably get to the presentation. GROW Model. Goals. What is it you're trying to accomplish? Everybody heard of the acronym SMART? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time specific. Do you think you can actually start with a goal and have it be a SMART goal right off the bat? I mean, you can, but where's the buy-in? So you guys can actually sit here in your strategy meetings before you go back to your chapters and come up with incredible goals and have them hit all the buttons on being SMART goals. Again, chapter's not going to be bought in, so you're going to go back, and the only way you're going to get them to do it is through compliant behavior, which means it won't be a lasting cultural change. Back to the culture word. So, goals. What are some goals that you guys have come up with already since coming? What are big goals that over the past day, or coming into this, or during you've picked up? Yeah.
Build fund of society at university. I've been discussing with a couple brothers, and I think that we should win Most Improved chapter next year.
All right, so you guys want to go after a Newell nationally, right?
Well, I mean, because obviously we have our goals already, and if we reach these goals, I think that we could reach Most Improved chapter.
Okay, so your end goal is to get to Newell. All right, that's a big, broad goal, but that's a good thing to start with. Okay, so you start with, well, let's get a few other goals out. I want to come back to that one. I like it. What other goals? Yes?
Jared Walden, Ada Upsilon, University of Arlington. One of our main goals for our chapter is to change the recruitment culture for our chapter, so the younger guys are way more involved in recruitment. So as like the pledge class and the just initiates are way more involved and active within the program.
Okay. So I heard two goals. Well, two goals. One's improve rush, right, with the younger members. And were you getting into education as well?
We want the cultures like constant recruitment instead of, okay, those 5 guys.
Culture. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So my number one job parameter is around talent. It's attracting and retaining the best advisors that I can. Imagine what would happen to me if I recruited 2 weeks a year. Why are we limiting ourselves to rushing 2 weeks a year? So good cultural change. And by the way, people who are exceptionally good at rush usually have very promising careers in management, because talent is a big, big parameter of job performance for any manager or leader. What else? Yeah.
Pete, Bowling Green, Ohio, and our rep board is made up of 4 people going into their senior year, and our biggest goal is to bring in freshmen and sophomores and really train them, so when we leave and come back in a couple of years, that what we did is still moving forward.
Okay. So some type of membership education that's going to train the next generation of leaders for the chapter. All right. What else? Yeah.
Ryan Tomlinson, Gamma Chi at OSU. One of our main goals is to improve our GPA above 3.0.
Okay. GPA above a 3.0. That's why we're going to school. Hopefully, we tend to lose sight of that.
We're now plan to bid chapter 4 at university. Our goal right now, and we're getting the whole chapter on board, is to bid 50 quality guys and at least retain 95% of them.
All right. So it's a 2-prong. Your goal is both recruitment and an education program that develops them into brothers as opposed to weeding them out. Okay? So we got rush, we got new member education, we've got overall operational improvement across the board. All right, let's just start with those. So I'm going to put you back on the hot seat. So if your goal is you guys want to win a Newell Award in a year, what's the reality of your situation? What is creating the environment that makes you think that a Newell is important to achieve?
I guess it's the motivation that I see in the brothers that will pretty much push for that.
So are they lacking motivation right now?
Because I pledged fall.
Okay.
And when I came in, probably the guys that graduated last year and the guys that are about to graduate, the mentality has been just like, we like the way things are, we don't want to really improve. And the guys that we've been rushing and bringing in, the mentality has completely changed. And we feel like after this upcoming spring class graduates, the mentality completely changes for our fraternity and everyone is on board with improvement.
Okay, so your reality is that you've got a chapter with a good foundation, a group of apathetic people who are about to get out of the way so that you guys can step up and lead. That's actually a really good reality. Where do you stand in terms of rush? How are you guys doing with recruiting people?
Well, our pledge class was the biggest we've had since we rechartered.
Okay.
This upcoming year, we pretty much have either a brother or a potential that is in every single dorm.
Okay.
So it's looking like this rush is going to be a pretty good rush. We're aiming for 20 to 30 guys.
Okay.
It's looking like our green book has been increasingly getting bigger throughout the summer, and like our president, our exec, everyone's been pushing for it all summer. So everyone's been planning and organizing for this rush because everyone's excited for this rush.
Good. All right. New member education?
He's on top of this stuff. Everything's been planned out already.
Wow, good piece. All right. Status with the sororities, they like you?
That's one of the things, yeah. It's our social standing just kind of flows.
Okay, so that might be a priority. GPA?
Just below a 3.0.
Okay, so striking distance, that's potential. All right. See what we're getting at? What are the realities of the situation? What are the things that are keeping you from being an excellent chapter? What are the things that are going on that you think creates a big enough gap for you guys to go from point A to a Newell? So, options. This is where you really want to engage chapter. If they're bought in on the goal and they're bought in on the vision, getting them to discuss all the options is where the creative juices are going to flow. In fact, I'm going to skip ahead a slide because I can come back to the rest of it. What happens when consultants come into chapters is you guys tend to spend 60% of your time in meetings talking about maybe the goals, generally the realities. You know, IFC's screwing us, the university's against us, our alumni don't care, the sorority advisors aren't letting them party with us, the community hates us, you know, we have guys who can't pay their bills, but they're brothers, so we don't want to get rid of them. We spend all of our time festering on what's going on, what is the state of being in our chapters or in our organizations. You got to get through that. You got to get through that because this is where people start getting victimized and feeling totally self-absorbed. The faster you can get your brothers to start thinking about their options. Okay, the sororities don't want to party with us. All right, what are some things that we can do that they might actually enjoy doing with us so that they get to know us? Is it a philanthropic event or a community service event? Or is it, you know, some type of campus spirit event? Is it a social event? What is it? Those are the things where you want the chapter to start brainstorming. What are our options here? Okay, we want to rush 30 guys. The rest of the chapter may or may not be on board with that. So getting them to think about what are the different things that we could be doing. Why is this important to us? That's where you start getting them to buy into ideas. Being an SMC or an IMC, THC in particular, it's a lonely job. These guys elected you to be responsible. And it's very lonely at the top. And you are probably going to feel a compulsion to try and prove to everybody how smart you are and how much you know and how much you're doing for the chapter. That's great. And what you'll figure out, though, very quickly is it isn't about you. It's about the chapter. So you got to figure out what's motivating your brothers and what will get them fired up to do the right thing. Now, if there's something going on that's totally unacceptable, then yeah, you have to be the role model and you stand up in front and say, no, 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 absolutely not, this doesn't happen, period. There are times where you're going to just put your foot down. But for things like visionary goals, where you've done a SWOT analysis and you know we need to increase our size, or you know we need to go from a 15-week pledge program to an 8-week pledge program, and you know that there aren't enough people standing for elections, and you need more of them, and you know that you've got 1,500 alumni living in your metro area and you don't even have an alumni board. Lay out the problem with these guys. Talk about the reality of the situation and start exploring opportunities. These guys, you'll know very quickly who in the chapter is getting excited about this. Now all of a sudden your committee's forming, all right? Way forward. This goes back down to 20% of your time. This is actually going through the way forward is where you actually can apply SMART back to your goal. Okay, is this the right goal? If this is the way forward, is this the right goal? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Is it time specific? And who in the chapter is interested in seeing this go? Now the other thing, we'll talk about this in the next session a lot more. The other thing, don't ever go into a chapter meeting and blurt out, hey, I think we should go do this. If you got a brilliant idea, go talk to a couple people beforehand that you know will be ringleaders that your brothers will listen to and brainstorm with them. I call it Jedi mind tricking. You will take me to Jabba now. We really need to do a community service event. We'll do it with the sorority. They'll come. It'll be fun. Oh yeah, and we can do this, and we can do that, and we can do the other thing. Oh, that's a great idea. I wish I'd thought of that. Would you mind sharing that with the chapter? You don't need to take any credit for it. Just ask them open-ended questions. Get them to come up with the idea. All right, is this making sense? The worst thing you could do is leave this trip and say, yeah, Memphis was fun and I spent 3 nights on Beale Street and I have no idea what to do with the chapter. You guys, you pay a lot in annual dues. You paid to come to this program. You've got incredible consultants. I meant what I said. I learned more about management and leadership of people from what you're doing right now and the consultants that you have supporting you. Take advantage of it. This is the best leadership training you're ever going to receive. And it's in a safe environment with guys you love. All right, we covered that. Realities. These are the different things to take into account. I'm going to pick on a chapter. The first observation I made when I came to this program, I fell out with kind of dropped out of the fraternity for 10 years. So I was a consultant 95 to 96. I was a chapter advisor until 2001. Got a newel under our belt. The newel is the kiss of death. So if you get the newel, figure out what you're going to do next to move towards a Smythe. Most chapters get a newel. We're most improved. Hurrah! We suck. That's exactly what happened at Berkeley. Been on the housing board, but seriously, from 2001 until last summer's convention, I had a family, had health issues in the family. I was away from it. I come back, and they're handing out champagne flutes from Tarpon Springs Convention, which, how many people weren't born yet in '94? How many people were born in '94? Yeah, great. That was my first convention, so I'm feeling old right now. The debate back then was around integrating chapters. This is the most colorful palette of what 30 years ago was a Southern white fraternity. It's awesome. You guys aren't coming in here with coolers of beer. You know, we'd show up to these things, people would be rolling kegs down the floor. It's a totally different conversation. You guys, this fraternity has come so far over the past 20 years. It's a totally different experience. And it's really structured around leadership. I went into a chapter in '95 in Mississippi who said, we want to talk to you about something. We got a problem. I said, what's the problem? They said, we've got these two African-American gentlemen who play on our IM football team with us. I said, great, what's the problem? We want to pledge them. I said, great, what's the problem? Well, nobody will let us. And I said, who controls you? We are independent chapters. What do you mean? Well, the town will get upset with us. And I said, you guys do more community service than any other organization in town. They'll get over it. And they said, well, our alumni will shun us. And I said, your alumni aren't showing up anyhow. Who cares? And they said, the sororities won't party with us. And I said, what? The girls are that racist? And they said, no, their advisors won't let them party with us. So when we talk about perception and how the community perceives you and how the sororities perceive you and how the university perceives you, those guys had a really tough decision of which way to go. Unfortunately, they chickened out. You know, my line to them was, I don't live here and I don't have to deal with the ramifications of your decisions, but you're missing out and you guys are thinking right and this is your opportunity to lead. And they left it sitting on the table. So we come in and we consult and we try and help you and we try and coach you and we try and advise you. And every single one of you is going to say, oh, you don't understand. This is Vermont. It's different here. Yeah, it's different everywhere. Listen to the advice and you guys figure out whether or not you want to lead. It's your decision. You guys get to own this. So it's really cool. This is what makes us different from the sororities. They're run by their alumni. We let you guys learn how to lead. Try and give you a little bit of advice along the way. What do we do to improve the realities? Way forward. How are we going to get there? The retreats. Okay, creating buy-in from active members. Jedi, mind trick them. Make them think it was their idea. If your arch rival in the chapter is the social chairman who wants to throw these outrageous parties that you know you can't get away with, and as president or treasurer or vice president you don't want the risk of, let them know, hey, here are the 5 things I'm concerned about. If we can figure out ways to get past those, I'm all in. It's amazing how creative they'll get. Oh, we want to throw this party, it's going to cost us $10,000. Well, gee, a lot of the guys who are here for social reasons haven't paid their dues. You get that money collected in, you can have the party. Social chairman then runs around the house saying, we can't have this party if you don't pay up. All of a sudden everybody pays up. Tap into those motivations. And if you've got somebody, nobody's waking up in the morning, every morning thinking, I'm out to screw Matt. People wake up in the morning and they generally are trying to do good things. But it's based on their view. So if you have to understand what their motivation is and what their view is. And if you can understand that and you tap into it, somebody referred to it the other day, Matt Sampson referred to it the other day, it's just lighting little fires around the chapter by planting ideas. Just asking people questions. Gee, you know, we've always been wanting to party with the Chi Omegas. What if we did something with them that, you know, that we could get them out? What do you think they'd be interested in doing? Oh, well, they do this big annual event. Well, what if we went to them and said, we want to support you? Then let them come up with the idea and take it and run. All right, where am I on time? What are we, within 15 minutes? All right, so the next session that we're going to do is going to be far more participatory. I want you guys to come back to it, unless this sucked, in which case, I'll know because the room will be half empty, and either that or you guys are hungover. How you take things back and get them implemented, how you get people to buy in, how you get people to think that the idea was theirs and so they can own it. That's what leadership's about. There are other aspects of it as well, but I mean, that's the real crux of it. It's the person who's just sneaky smart about getting other people to really gel around something and run with it. Then your job is only to contain the fire. Let it burn. Just keep a little bit of a ring fence around it. Get them steered in the right direction. Okay, what questions do you guys have? What scares you the most about going back to your chapter? Yeah.
Ryan Figgins, I have again with UNK, Breast Kearney. When you talk about implanting ideas, how do you combat a traditional idea and moving forward with realizing that that tradition no longer applies here?
Okay. What's the idea? Give me an example.
We have a haunted house that we throw a philanthropy.
Oh, I thought you were saying your house was actually haunted. Okay. It's like Blair Witch Project.
We throw a philanthropy of a haunted house, and it's starting to seem that the benefits are not outweighing the costs.
Okay.
But we have individuals who realize how great this is and tradition. We got to keep going forward. How do you combat that? Being a leader, moving forward 5 years, I won't look back and say, you know, we got rid of this at the right moment, at the right time.
Do you believe that you need to get rid of it?
I believe that we need to either work together as a chapter to figure out a new end goal of what
Okay.
we're working on, or move on to something else.
All right. So they want to do it, right? You play the guy who wants to do it.
Okay.
Your name again?
Ryan.
Ryan? All right. Ryan. The haunted house is great. Why? But we're losing money on it every year. Why do you want to do it?
Oh man, we've done it for so long. It's tradition.
Okay.
I believe it's great for the community and all that stuff.
Yeah, but we're actually paying more for it than the community's getting out of it. So.
But everybody has a good time.
Okay. So you guys want to do this because it's tradition and it's a good time?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the problems we've had with it? What do you think I'm concerned about continuing with it?
Probably concerned with the fire code issue,
Yeah.
Getting shut down right off after we worked so hard.
Yep.
Not getting a lot of cans for the community, which we collect for the community. I can see your issues with it.
Okay. What are some things we can do about it? Because if these issues aren't addressed from a risk standpoint, you're right, we really can't do it. And from what we were trying to accomplish, this was supposed to be a charitable event. We might as well just go out, buy the cans, and hand them over to charity. So we've got two major problems. What can we do about it?
That's a question.
Yeah. But that's get them to buy into the solution. Now, it could be that you're right. We need to kill this. We need to move on to another event. It could be, though, that it's actually a really cool idea and it's steeped in enough tradition that you can surmount the issues. So get all the issues out on the table. Be transparent with them. Here are the issues. What are we going to do about it? What are our options? Now, it could be that they're insurmountable. Okay, well, we like the haunted house and we want to do something that's good for the community. What is it about the haunted house that we really, really like? What can we do that's going to look and feel like that and we're all going to be able to bond around, but actually have the outcome when we're giving back to the community? Your guys are creative. They'll come up with something and you'll have fun doing it. And as a leader, you won't be leading with no. It's, I'd love to continue with it, but here are the problems. You guys help me overcome those problems and we're golden. Okay, make sense? What else? Yeah.
Rob Fogno, Alpha Chi Chapter Syracuse. We had like, it's kind of like a similar situation, but like we've had a few years of seniors and kids who've graduated who like really don't care, and they've like adapted like this like, you know, like outlaw kind of like we don't like play by like the school and the national rules. And we have like we've done a really great job of getting like new recruits in. We have like most biggest play class we've had in a while, and like they all care, and the younger kids are all on board. Like, how do you like when you try to make these changes, and they're like, you know, we're older and this is how we've done it, and like.
Are they officers?
Some are, but it's like at this point the board is really like split between the juniors who have started these changes and the seniors who are just trying to like, you know, pay our dues to the school and nationals so that we don't get kicked off campus before they graduate. Right.
So the guys who are apathetic towards it, what are they trying? What's their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? What's their motivation?
They just think it's like a waste of time to like try to like win like these awards and try to like better yourself as chapter. They just want to like throw as many like parties as possible and like not get kicked off campus.
Okay, so you guys want to party as much as you possibly can. Flip into the role.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We throw pretty good parties, don't we?
Yeah.
I like throwing them too. How much trouble have we been in over the past 2 years?
This year's probably the first year we haven't been on any type of probation.
And you've been around for a couple years. What happens when we're on probation?
The like DPS and campus police like come by and like.
Yeah, we don't get to party.
3 times a night just to make sure we don't party after they leave.
So I'd like to keep partying and you'd like to keep partying.
Yeah.
What do we need to do so that we don't get back in trouble again and we can party as much as we want?
Do all the rest of the stuff the school and nationals require you to do as fraternity and organization.
So I'm not asking everybody in the chapter to do everything, but is there anything in here, you know, you have any community, you know, you involved with the community at all?
We just started being involved in the community this year, but it's like none of those kids like want to be involved.
So I went back and advised my chapter for a spell, and they weren't doing any community service, right? I went and interviewed every single active member because we were in a similar situation and many of them were delinquent. We actually had to throw a few people out, which sucked because these are guys that I had been pledge master to several years earlier. When I went through and interviewed everybody, out of the 52 members in the chapter, they had a grand total of, I think it was 6,000 hours of community service. But it was all individual effort and nobody was keeping track of it and nobody was accounting for it. There's something, these guys have something. If they are total deadbeats and they have nothing that they care about other than partying and they don't care about school and they're not getting good grades, if they can't tick off a scholar, a leader, an athlete, or a gentleman, particularly gentlemen, but scholar, leader, athlete, if they're not at least one of those, then the question is, what does this actually mean to you? And it gets back to the question around why are we in this fraternity? What does this fraternity stand for and mean? If you can tap into them that, hey, we want to party, and we know that to party we need to do these things over here, and I'm not asking you to do all those things, but is there anything in here that you can get passionate about? And you know these guys well enough and tap into it, then you can that's starting the little fires again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's like even the kids that you said like are basically like you just want them to graduate at this point and get out. How do you like try not to like get them to like infect like the kids that you bring in?
Are they paying their dues?
Quality kids.
Some.
If they don't pay their dues, it's almost better because then we get to
So do them.
bring a rule in place where they're not allowed to like
Perfect.
partake in anything. But
Yep.
then they pay their dues and then
So the guys that are paying the dues and that are coming in and infecting the chapter, they think they're doing it to help everybody else have fun. They think they're doing it because they're a social leader of the chapter. They think they're helping you out. They honestly do. And they think you, as the guy getting in their way, is an obstacle that they owe it to their brothers to crush so that they can keep things fun and happy. And the real trick is ring fencing them. You either find a way to tap into them and get them involved with something that's positive and proactive, or you figure out how to isolate them from the conversation. That's a tough one. I don't always recommend it. You know, you say, look, you don't, You don't need to be involved with that. We're going to throw the parties. You're welcome to come to the parties. You've put in your time for King and Country. You know, you can have fun until you graduate. Or you just find a way to include them. You go to them beforehand and say, I've got this problem. You know, we got a party that's coming up, but I'm worried that we're going to get busted by the university and then we're going to be shut down. You've been here a little bit longer than I have. What can we do to make sure we don't get busted? What have we been busted for before? But don't do it in the chapter setting because they'll absolutely blow you up. You got to do it one-on-one with them. Now, if you're going to do it in the chapter setting, you can do it in a retreat where you're going through the GROW model. And we'll go through this tomorrow. When you've got people who are being antagonists and resistant to it and really gumming up the works, but it's something that you know the majority of the brothers are bought into, you don't have to trounce them as the leader. You get the rest of the brothers to trounce them. And you then just act as the moderator and the facilitator of the conversation. So if you got enough younger guys that say, BS, that's not what I joined for, they'll start stepping up and leading. You'll see who your next generation of leaders are pretty quickly. Where are we on time?
10 minutes.
All right, Ray, where are you? This is a perfect transition to talk about retreats. What you're getting into with the objections and the apathy, that's exactly why we're working on how do you go back and get the chapter bought into this as opposed to just going back and saying we're doing ABC, get on board or else. We'll get into how to actually start Jedi mind tricking these guys and getting them on board. And there will be times where you need to take somebody and just cull them out of the herd. It sucks, but if the rest of the brothers are on board with it and you got somebody who's just way off the reservation, there is nothing wrong with sitting down with them and having a real come to Jesus talk with them. Right?
Thank you, sir. So grab that mic.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Thank you. All right, so what's going on, guys? How are we feeling? Good? All right, awesome. So where is your mindset at right now? These ideas seem pretty clear, pretty straightforward. So how many of you guys right now are in the mindset of like, okay, these ideas sound great, but how do I get the chapter to buy in? Okay, about half you guys. So we're gonna transition into retreats. So retreats is the key to getting your chapter to buy into your ideas without them even knowing it. All right, so we're going to talk about 3 different types of retreats that's going to make you a dynamic fraternity on your campus. Talk about the chapter's goal-setting retreat. So tomorrow we'll go over the growth model. You guys we'll put you in a scenario where you're actually working through the grow model and creating goals and creating action plan on how you're going to implement your goals into the chapter. And so you bring it into your chapter retreat and you get the chapter to create the goals that you've developed through your strategic plan. Then there's the recruitment retreat and finally the transition retreat. So the chapter retreat. Can someone tell me what the purpose is for a chapter retreat? Logan, what's the purpose of a chapter retreat?
Set goals, get everyone on the same page.
Set goals, get everyone on the same page. That's exactly right. So this is an opportunity to allow the chapter to create their own goals. How many of you would say that you're in a chapter right now where there's a lot of resentment from the membership saying like, oh, exec's making me do all this BS work. Exec's making all the rules. Exec's telling me I have to show up to community service. Exec says I have to do philanthropy. Exec says I can't go to a social. Raise your hands. Okay, decent amount. So Jeff likes to say it's playing Jedi mind tricks. I like to use chapter retreats. I call them Inception. Great movie, right? Let's see, Jacob, can you stand up and tell me what's the key concept of Inception?
You didn't want me to stand up, right?
Yes, please.
Jake Booth, played over from Indiana State. You're basically kind of like Jeff was talking about, you're getting someone else to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Without you making them do it.
So Inception, I mean, they're basically planting the seed to make someone feel that they're creating their own idea, right? Like it's organic. They're the one that created it. You're not telling them what to think and believe. They're coming up with it on their own. You can use chapter retreats chapter retreats to your advantage, just like Inception. So all of you guys raised your hand and you said you're on the executive board, right? Okay. So you take your strategic plan that you guys are going to practice by completing tomorrow. You're going to sit down as an executive board. You're going to create your strategic plan. You're going to take that to the chapter. You have the entire membership there. You're like, okay, guys, we're going to break down every area of programming and we're going to set a goal to it. Recruitment, we're going to set a goal, a SMART goal. Community service, we're going to set another goal. Philanthropy, going through all of chapter operations. Do we have any psychology or communication majors or sociology majors in here? So you guys familiar with priming? All right, so there's a psychological concept is called priming. Basically what that concept is that when you can basically frame a question in a way and you prime an individual to give you a specific answer. So let me give you an example. So who has, let me see, Delta's Eye, right? You guys said you had some goals implemented. Do you have any like community service goals, for example?
Actually, we are aiming to be the community service fraternity at IU because like, there's no fraternity that's really known for the community service, so that's our goal.
Okay, so in order to accomplish that, how would you say, like, what would you say is the community, like how many hours per man do you think you need to attain to reach that goal?
We set an amount, I think,
So about 30 per brother? Okay, that's great. So let's say you want to improve in community service, right? And Jeff said, I mean, it would all be great if all of you guys wanted to win a Smythe. That's great, but let's just say you all want to be the best on campus. You can, as an executive board member facilitating a chapter retreat, all you need to do is say, okay guys, you go to your Greek life office and you ask them like, we want the statistics of every chapter on campus. We want their size, how many new members they brought in, their community service hours, philanthropy dollars, their GPAs, we want all of that. You take that information, throw it up on a PowerPoint, like, okay guys, let's set a goal for community service. Sigma Chi had the most amount of community service hours out of every other chapter on campus. They had 60 hours per man. So if we want to be the best fraternity on campus, have a couple of guys stand up and say, how many hours per man we need. So if I was to go up to Nick and said, hey, Nick, Sigma Chi has 60 hours per man. What's a good goal for us to set in order to be number one on campus with community service? 70. Good. All right, let's do Lowell. If I said that we want to beat Sigma Chi community service, how many community service hours per man do we need? If they got 60.
We need 65.
Cool. If I throw up recruitment numbers, hey guys, SAE recruited 40 men last year. So propose them the question, be like, guys, if we want to be number one in recruitment, how many new members do we need? Guys will throw up their hand, they'll say, all right, well, let's get 42. Let's get 45, let's get 50, let's get 60. And then it's up to you as the executive board member to pick a goal that aligns with your strategic plan. Does that make sense? So chapter retreats, the structure. In your agendas on page 24, there's a sample outline of a basic chapter retreat. So at the chapter retreat, you should have all of your members there. And if you have alumni advisory board, it'd be great for them to participate as well. So again, in order to get that buy-in, you need to have all your members there and give the power to them. Allow them to make the decision and vote on what their goals should be for the chapter. And because you already have your strategic plan created, you know how to guide the questioning and guide the room to get them to agree on a goal that's aligned with your strategic plan. So the most effective chapter retreats that we've seen is to host a retreat that's not at the chapter house or it's not on campus. Take them someplace else. Someone give me a few examples of where you can host a chapter retreat at. That's not on campus and it's not at the chapter house. You need to stand up, say your name, what chapter you're from.
Justin Smith, Beta Sigma, Winthrop University.
Camping, okay.
I'm Nick, I'm from Alpha Psi Cincinnati. We go to Cumberland, Kentucky, and we have cabins.
Cabins, perfect. One more. Is Drexel in here? Where's Drexel? No? All right, well, that's fine. Go to Dave & Buster's. Drexel takes their entire chapter. They crank out chapter retreat. They set goals for like 3 hours, and then they spend the entire day at Dave & Buster's. Like, do something fun. Get someplace to get the guys away from the chapter. You know, we're all about that work hard, play hard mentality, right? So crank out some goals for 3 hours. Go out and have a blast. Attendance should be encouraged, and don't mandate it. Don't say, hey guys, if you don't show up, there's a $50 fine for absence. Encourage that everyone needs to be there and pitch it in a way that says, hey, this is an opportunity for you guys to voice how you want the chapter to progress in this year. We're going to come together in 2 weeks. We're going to sit down. We're going to hash out some goals. This is an opportunity for you to state and claim like where you want and decide which direction you want the chapter to go. So recruitment retreat. Kurt talked about this last night in the recruitment presentation. Who can tell me why recruitment retreats are pivotal in ensuring the success of your chapter?
Our recruitment retreats, we had the entire recruitment board come together and have their own goals, put together the right chair. They kind of hash out their stuff and what they want to do, the goals they want to accomplish, and they present to the chapter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So the purpose of the recruitment retreat is to get everybody organized on the same page and create goals of what they need to accomplish with recruitment. So the structure. Again, all of you guys, or at least majority of the chapter needs to be there. In order to win recruitment every single semester, in order to beat the other chapters on your campus, everyone needs to be prepared on how to talk to recruits, how to pitch pike, how to combat no factors. These are all things that you can talk about in the recruitment retreat. Everyone needs to be prepared. It's typically facilitated by the recruitment chairman and his committee. Review recruitment strategy, events, the do's and don'ts, the 1-2 punch, combating no factors. Who was in the recruitment role-playing session last night? How long did it take for us to run through that? All those things, just introducing yourself, the 1-2 punch, unique selling points. Yeah, a few minutes just to cover each, right? And then we just had guys from the audience come up and practice and do some role-playing. It doesn't take a long time, but you need to ensure that everybody's on the same page and they have these basic skills. You can host it at a chapter house or campus facility, that's fine. I've visited chapters where they'll actually combine the chapter goal-setting retreat with the recruitment retreat on the tail end. That's fine too. Host at the beginning of each semester. Again, if you want to win recruitment, everyone needs to be on the same page on how to win recruitment. Again, you have a sample agenda on page 25. Transitioning retreat. Who in the back said that one of the things you wanted to walk away with is maintaining campus dominance every single year, consistency, right? Exactly. Transition retreats are the way to ensure that. Sure, you may have leadership in the chapter right now, guys on the e-board who are pumped up, they're excited, they're motivated, they want to win a Newell Award, they want an Excellence Award, they want to beat Sigma Chi in recruitment, and they can do that by themselves. But in order to maintain that consistency, the guys who are in their current roles need to train and educate the guys, their successors. Bottom line. How many of you are in your role right now and you would agree that the person before you didn't pretty much just handed you a handbook and said, hey man, good luck? In order to maintain your dominance, you need to train your successor. So the purpose, to ensure the future success of your chapter. You need to outline the roles and responsibilities of the job. Basically, in its most simplest form, it's old guy is teaching new guy how to do his job. That's it. Structure. Again, there's an agenda on page 25, sample agenda, how to do the transition retreat. So you can't teach the new guy how to do his job if he doesn't show up, right? So everyone who attends this retreat needs to be the new guy and the old guy. And there's different methods on how you can structure it. But each predecessor changes successor on how to do his job. Utilize your handbooks. Utilize the resources that are on the pikes.org website. How many of you have gone to the pikes.org website in the last 6 months? Everybody, perfect. Go on there. The handbooks are on there. Danny Ryan did a great job of adding new tutorial videos. Sit down with the guy who's taken over your position for 30 minutes and watch the tutorial videos. When something important pops up, pause the video and explain to him why that's important. Or say, hey man, yeah, actually, come to think of it, I forgot to implement that this last semester. Like, oh crap, I was community service chairman and I totally forgot to record the community service hours. Make sure that you get that done. First thing you do. First thing to do on your to-do list. And then review the calendar. So as members of the executive board, the first thing you should be doing before school even starts is setting your events calendar for that semester. Whether it's community service events, rush events, scholarship events, social events, no matter what it is, every single event that goes on in the chapter should be planned out at the beginning of the semester. And at the end of the transition retreat, you review that calendar. That way every chairman knows what dates he's responsible for. So he knows months in advance that, if I'm the social chairman, I know that in 3 weeks I have to plan a social event with Chi Omega. I got 3 weeks to crack it down. He's informed, and if you're the internal or external vice president, you know that your social chairman has that date set, and you can hold him responsible for getting that event in place. Make sense, guys? All right. Any questions on any of these 3 retreats? Perfect. So I'm going to hand it back over to Scott. Thank you.
Where's the clicker? Oh. Nice. Great hands.
Hey, you said you only needed one of the 3, so I'll do that.
All right, if no one has any other questions, just for some items to remember for the next session, just be sure to review the GROW model. We're going to be asking many of you in here to help us facilitate when we divide up into groups tomorrow, so make sure you review that. Make sure to bring the handbook that's been provided to you. If some of you came in late and need one, just feel free to come up here, and I have a few extras up here that I can give you. And then lastly, it should be on page 7. After the GROW model diagram, make sure to have your chapter goals developed. And if you want to, we even have it broken down into each chairman role as well. If you'd like to develop those, you're going to be even more prepared for the session tomorrow. Session 2 will be tomorrow from 2 to 3:30 in this same room. We are running a little late, so the next session is at 4:30 in the Continental Ballroom, which is the big ballroom that all the keynotes have been in. So thank you guys. We'll be around if anybody has any questions. Hey.
An extra one.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good. I was wondering if I could grab one of the...
Oh, sure. One second, let me get, yeah. Hey, Tyler, will you just hand these out? There's a couple guys that...
No, you're good. I was wondering if I could get your card, because I was wondering if I could get that
Oh, sure.
one as well as tomorrow.
Richard, how you doing? Scott, nice to meet you, man. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I did.
Good. There you go.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Hey, Scott.
Hey.
Tyler Russell. I
Tyler.
emailed you
Nice to meet you, man. How you doing?
Undergraduate vice president position.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to come introduce myself.
Yeah, man. Pleasure meeting you finally.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you as well.
Hold on one second. Let me turn this off so it's not recording.